Diamond Tiara!
Pacifica!
Sorry, Mother.
Mind your mother, Pacifica.
But... Yes, Father.
As a rich pony, you must always think of your social standing.
High standards are what make the Northwest family great.
I've been told my whole life what to do, what to say.
I lied to you just because I'm too scared to talk back to my stupid parents. You were right about me. I am just another link in the world's worst chain.
You don't even know me at all. Don't understand the meaning of my fall. What my family would think if I ever fell at anything.
Pacifica Elise Northwest, stop this instant! We can't let the town see us like this! We have a reputation to uphold!
This is what I see when we adjourn. My daughter associating with confused, insignificant lowlifes.
You dare disobey us?
Come, Diamond Tiara.
No, Mother.
Is this bell broken?
Our family name is broken, and I'm gonna fix it.
I wanted something you don't have. Friends.
Pacifica, you are not like the other Northwests.
Be the pony I wanna be.
Oh boy, that does not fare well for my lack of comparison with them. But you know, there are still some issues here not addressed of how close these characters really are. Yes, both of these backstories and reformations are canon, so the comparison's pretty obvious. But let's see which one did it better, and left a better impression drawing on Diamond Tiara's Reformation episode and the final episodes of Gravity Falls. Oh wait, no, they're reformed. So, it is official. Both of these characters were manipulated children growing up in a controlling family, and in the end worked up the courage to go against their family to stand up for those that were considered lower than them. Now, for those that did not see my video dealing with my issues of Reformation, you should know that I did not like this approach for Diamond Tiara, and felt they handled it better for Pacifica, because she had a clear arc to her character slowly warming up to Dipper and Mabel in the previous episode, The Gulf War. Compare that to Diamond Tiara's previous episode appearance, not counting Bloom and Gloom, on the basis that, spoilers, it was a dream. Her last appearance was Twilight Time. And how did that episode end?
Looks like Twilight Time is over.
And look who's not the princess's entourage anymore. Ooh! Guess they didn't come here to learn after all.
Well, neither did any of you.
Exactly. She is still the same bully character that we see in the beginning of this episode. Now, speaking of the beginning of this episode, I want to make it clear how much I actually loved this initial conflict. Have the students turn on her for doing nothing more than just being herself, and their opinions being swayed by the only pony she has been agitating and egging on for this entire series. She will finally realize the consequences her bullying has had on her life that she's enjoyed up until this point. This will be a great delve into her psyche to find the desire to change and whoa. Who is this? What are you doing? Oh, you're going the sympathy route, huh? Well, let's start with the first comparison. The backstory and the parents. For the main antagonistic parents, we have Preston Northwest and Spoiled Rich. Let me just say, I have a lot of thoughts and issues with this character. But not to drag on this video and focus too much on MLP, I'll put most of them in a supplementary video, and will only focus on comparing her to Preston. Now, I refer to these characters as the antagonistic parents, but in reality, Spoiled Rich was the only antagonist in her episode. In Northwest Mansion Noir, the real antagonist was the ghost and the pain of the Northwest legacy, merely personified by Pacifica's parents. But were they really the bad guys? I think Pacifica said it best in the finale.
Oh no, my parents are bad, but even they don't deserve to be turned to stone.
Even in the episode, the first thing she does after celebrating is go find someone to clean up the mess. Does she fear her parents anymore? No. She merely stood up for what they represent, but she's not going to abandon them. She still cares for them, as they still care for her. Spoiled Rich, on the other hand, was the main antagonist, even coming down to Diamond Tiara physically standing up to her and subduing her power. You know who else they did this with? Discord, an actual dangerous and power-hungry villain, not your own mother, who throughout this entire episode was displayed as having no love for her daughter. Well, at least her father does. What is that face? Are you telling me he's going along with this? I mean, if Spoiled Rich is supposed to be Preston, Filthy Rich would be his wife, but that doesn't work because Filthy has actual character displayed throughout the show. Preston's wife is so standard, she's merely a trophy wife, kind of like Fleur-de-lis to Fancy Pants. But even that doesn't work, because Fancy Pants is high class and kind. Sorry, got sidetracked. Let's keep the focus on Gravity Falls 2. And really for good reason. Preston, just like his daughter, is the better character. He's more entertaining, funny, and actually makes you feel something for him. Lest I remind you of a certain scene.
How about instead I shuffle the functions of every hole in your face?
If that happened to Spoiled Rich, tell me how much you would care. Whether positively or negatively, because personally, I wouldn't care either way. So those were the obstacles they faced leading up to the Reformation. But what about the result of the Reformation? Well, as much as I hated how rushed it all was, and the character used to trigger it, Diamond Tiara and Ponyville got the better outcome for the Reformation. Looking at Pacifica, all her Reformation did was slightly better her family name. They were still rich and powerful, for now, and the Reformation only made herself feel a little more important in the world, with now some people to actually call friends. Well yeah, that's because the writing was terrible and put her back to her old character for the finale. Did they really? Again, what did Pacifica actually do? She opened a gate, accepting the lower class into her home. Does she mingle with them? No. She tolerates them more. She's not going to have any significant drive to contribute more to the cause. She'll be a part of it, but she still has an image to uphold, hence the immediate cleaning at the end. The finale even alludes to the fact that she's merely here because you, the fans, wanted her here. And even then she doesn't contribute to the final destruction of Bill. I think you underestimate a character's ability to change. She's definitely kinder, but this is no excuse to abandon the luxury she has. Now compare that to Diamond Tiara, whose Reformation helped the school children accept her again, and most importantly, provided a cause for the Crusaders to follow, granting them each their cutie marks, which they will use to help all the ponies find their special talents, contributing greatly to society. Now unlike Pacifica, was Diamond Tiara changed too drastically from bratty to school hero? Really, it's too soon to say, as this is the only episode we've seen her in after her Reformation. Maybe in a later appearance, she would still embrace the high-class life but be kinder to others, much like, oh, I don't know, her father. But I'm not going to make any assumptions. I learned my lesson from last time. Still, that ending for her character is why Crusaders of the Lost Mark is my favorite episode, despite certain issues. Now considering Diamond Tiara had such a major impact on the town, and Pacifica merely benefiting for her own happiness, making friends, and breaking some barriers...
Do it, sweetie. Do the one thing no one in our family has ever done. Touch the hillbilly.
Yeah, you go, girl. Pacifica is still the better character. And it really comes down to the fact that she accepts her wrongdoings as her mistakes. This scene with Dipper, where she comes clean about lying to him and regretting not doing anything to change the outcome, is what really makes a character's reformation feel genuine. Diamond Tiara almost never touches on the fact that she did wrong in the past. There are a couple lines.
There's something jagged in me, and I've made such mistakes.
You've spent your life acting like a high horse and raised me to follow in your hoofprints. At first, I thought this was fine.
But those are not expanded upon, unlike the rest of her Pity Me song and her speech toward her mother, where, again, she blames Spoiled Rich for making her act this way. And finally, there's the fact that Pacifica is from Gravity Falls. No, not the place, the show. Because unfortunately for MLP fans, no matter who you try and compare it with, Gravity Falls has the better characters. At least in terms of comparing secondary characters. That is just the nature of the show. It knows exactly how to develop each character well enough that they are memorable and allow you to feel for them, whether positive or negative. MLP does have this kind of character building, but exclusively for the main characters and a few side characters. Not every single character that appears on screen like Gravity Falls. In fact, how does Northwest Mansion Noir begin? It focuses solely on the Northwest family, leading to a tie-in with the Pines family, our main characters. Now compare that to Crusaders of the Lost Mark. We start with the CMC. Not Diamond Tiara, because the show did not give us a Diamond Tiara episode, it gave us a Crusaders episode, focused around Diamond Tiara. We don't follow her because the viewers want to know what happens to her, we follow because the Crusaders want to know what happens to her. With this thought and characterization in mind, tell me that even as an average viewer you did not recognize almost everyone that banded together for the final battle. Compare that to Slice of Life, and there are definitely more people who have no idea where some of these characters are, which is why I understand why Slice of Life can be a mediocre, still not the worst, episode for viewers. Gravity Falls is always going to do characterization a little better, so it is an unfair comparison in the end. However, while I can agree that Diamond Tiara had the better reformation for her town, it was still handled kinda poorly with several inconsistencies and issues that are again touched in the supplementary video. And Pacifica had a consistent character arc, while Diamond Tiara felt like a different character in this episode at points. But if you ask some people, she had no character to begin with anyway. So yes, the conclusion is final. Pacifica still is better. Not by much, But that is more to the strength of the show, as Diamond Tiara was still a better antagonist, and could have had a great episode of coming to terms with herself, but we opted for the sympathetic backstory instead, which, again, Gravity Falls did better. So, to finish it off, I guess I did say next time I would decide who was better, Princess Celestia or Bill Cipher. Well, basing this off of the actions in the finale, I think it's pretty obvious that with the superior strategy and ability to hold off the enemy and almost defeat their adversary, Princess Celestia takes it. Clearly the... What was that?
So, you think it's funny to torture me with that lead-in, huh? You know, it's bad enough that this is the impersonation you're going with, but to rank me lower than some prissy pony princess who couldn't even handle the most dim-witted of all nightmares I've experienced, let's see how you like being tortured.
Sorry, Bill, but I'm calling the shots on this one, so bye. What the...
That's funny!
Who said you were the one in control?
Actually killing you on the spot would negate the idea of torturing you. So while I have control, let's see what you got in these computer folders. Oh my, someone's got a favorite character.
Bill, that's enough.
Whoa, over 100 downloaded pictures. I wonder who would love to see these.
Bill, don't do this. Not my reputation. Well, what's left of it anyway.
You want to end all this? Then admit I am clearly better.
Never. I made the decision. I'm sticking with it.
Oh look, this one should probably be censored. It's open pretty often.
Bill, stop! Fine. Celestia is not better than you.
I knew it!
That's right. Celestia and Luna combined are better than you.
No! It's funny how dumb you are. That doesn't count.